Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. There are two things that I dehydrate pretty much every season because I use quite a bit of them. One is onions, and the other one is bell peppers. And I'm going to do a video separate on each one of those for you guys. This is going to be the bell pepper video. Dehydrated bell peppers keep really, really well. They're shelf stable. I've never had any go bad. They're really easy to use. I prefer dehydrating them over like freezing. I know a lot of people freeze peppers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, the space savings in my freezer, so I can keep that more for meat. I prefer to just dehydrate my peppers. And what you get when you dehydrate them is something that looks like this right here. This is what I got left from last year. And I had a couple of jars of these, so I actually had a lot of peppers. A pepper, when it is cut up and dried, is going to be just a couple of tablespoons of the dried peppers. And to use them, how I use my dried peppers is I'll take them and I'll either add them into something like a soup or a stew or anything like that. But if I want them to be more for something like fried potatoes, I'll take a couple of tablespoons of the dried peppers and I'll put them in a little warm water for about maybe a half an hour so they can soften up a little bit and they can swell up. And then they can go right into whatever the dish is that you're making. And I really haven't noticed much of a difference other than volume as far as how they're going to be in your dish. They're not quite as big as what a fresh cut pepper is, but the flavor is right there. Now, selecting my peppers. My peppers aren't ripe yet, and the peppers that I got here today, I actually got my local fruit stand. They're actually selling these really, really reasonable, and they are perfect for dehydrating because I like them half red and half green. Half red and half green, I think, has got the best flavor as far as these dehydrated peppers. You still got a little bit of the tanginess of the green, but you got a little bit of the sweet of the red, and it's all good. And my peppers aren't ready yet because I save seeds, so my peppers I let get completely red before I harvest them because I save the seed. I want them to be as ripe as possible to collect that seed. But for this right here today, these peppers that I got up at the local fruit stand are absolutely perfect. So I'm going to wash these guys now. I am going to cut them up in a sort of a rough dice so they're all about the uniform size. And then I'm going to get my dehydrator out here and I'm going to kind of pat these dry after I got them diced, and then I'm going to put them in the dehydrator, and I'm going to let the dehydrator do the work. It takes about 24 hours, 30 hours, depending on what the humidity is. It's actually not very humid for us here today, so this is actually a really good day to do this. Takes about 24 hours for these to dehydrate down to look like this. So when I start cutting stuff up here and I get it in the dehydrator, I'm going to stop a couple times, show you what that all looks like, to give you some ideas if you want to dehydrate some stuff for yourself. All right, guys, I wanted to show you about what the size of the chop looks like. I got about half of the peppers cut up. Still got quite a few left there to do. Got my waste for the compost. One thing that I like to do when I'm cutting these up is I kind of dab these off with some paper towel, and what that does is that just sort of takes a little of the excess moisture off of them. You don't have to do this, but I find that they just dry a little bit quicker if I dab some of this moisture off before I go ahead and I start filling up the dehydrator. Well, when I got the rest of these cut up here and I got these in the dehydrator, I'm going to show you how I rotate the trays around and the temperature and stuff that I use when I start this. All right, it's been about 2 hours or so since I loaded these dehydrators up. You can kind of see here they're starting to dry off. What I do about every 2 hours is I rotate the trays. I'll put the top tray on the bottom, I'll switch the two in the middle, and I just do it like that. That way I keep kind of my drying as uniform as I possibly can. Now, some dehydrators have adjustments for temperature. I like starting out about between 120 and about 110 degrees. I got it on 115 here right now. And what I do is I let it go like that for about the first half or so of the drying. So about the time I decide to turn in tonight, I'll turn it all the way down on its lowest setting, which is about 95 degrees. And then there's some dehydrators that just don't have any adjustment on it whatsoever. It's just one temperature, and I just leave it like that, and then I go ahead and I rotate the trays just like I do on the other one. But I typically will keep more of an eye on the ones without the adjustment on it, because sometimes, because they're warmer, they're going to dry quicker. I want my peppers to be basically leathery, I guess would be how I would call it. I don't want them too hard and dry and brittle, because then they're too hard to reconstitute. You got to soak them too long. But a really leathery texture is kind of what I want on these peppers. Here's what these guys look like here. This has got a little bit bigger holes in my dehydrator, so I cut these peppers just maybe slightly larger than I did the other ones. Also, because this one's typically a little bit warmer, so it will take a little bit longer to dry. The little bigger pieces will dry about the same as the other ones then. So that's basically what it's going to look like now. I'm going to turn these guys all on, check them every 2 hours. Tonight I'll come in and crank the temp down on the American Harvest there, and then we'll be back in the morning to show you what they look like at that point. They should be getting toward done by then. And here we are the next morning. They've been going all night. I shut these down about an hour ago, I'd say, to let them start to cool off. And this is what they look like. Set this down over here. Grab the other one here. And then this is the other one. I'm going to let these cool completely. So I'm going to let these sit for probably 3 to 4 hours. And then I'm going to pack these into a mason jar, and I'm going to show you the difference between that big old basket of peppers I had yesterday and how many peppers are going to be in a jar. I figure this is probably going to be about a quart jar full or a couple of pints. So when I got this jarred up, then I'll do a little bit of a wrap up for you guys. And here is the final product of that big old basket of peppers that I started yesterday. It made 3 full pints. All I did is I took the peppers out of the dehydrator, put them in a bowl so I could fill them into these jars. And I actually went a step further. I took the jars in when they were full, and I put them in the oven at the lowest setting, which was for me is 170 degrees, for about 10 minutes or so, and then I put the lids in for about another 5 minutes, and I put the lids on those hot jars and let them cool, and I basically dry canned these then. So these are all sealed now, and they're good to go. They were a leathery consistency. I don't like them really, really hard, because then they reconstitute. Another thing, if you have any moisture in it, if you touch any of the pieces of peppers and they're not leathery, if they have any moisture on the outside of them while they're on the dehydrator, or they feel sticky to you, they're not done yet. So then they have to go a little bit longer. So that's another thing that I wanted to mention to you guys. But anyway, that's what a big old basket of peppers look like when it's dehydrated. So it doesn't take up very much space at all. And a couple tablespoons of these pepper flakes here are basically like a half a bell pepper. So anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Hope you guys got something out of this video here, just showing you how I dehydrate bell peppers for the winter. But anyway, I appreciate all my subscribers out there. You guys take care.